Hey y'all, I want to tell you about a little trip we took yesterday. We traveled down to Fort Cobb, Oklahoma. We got to spend the day with Tim and Tracey at Deep Creek Kikos. We got another addition to the farm. I'll tell you about it here in just a second. Let me tell you a little bit about Deep Creek Kikos. They are located down at Fort Cobb. They're on around 160 acres. They have over 300 head of goats. They have one less goat now. She's fortunately out in my pasture. You'll be able to find them on the web. They've got an awesome website. You can also find them on Facebook. I'm going to put the links to both of those below. I'd encourage you to check those out. My family and I were pretty happy that they're willing to spend so much time with us and answer questions and share stories and show us how they do things and how their operation is ran. And that's only going to help me as a small producer, things that I'm going to be looking for in my own herd. But part of this conversation I wanted to be able to share with you. So of course they'd already separated out the doe that we were going to be bringing home, and we'd pitched her up on the scales because of course we wanted to know what her current weight was. So as a yearling doe born in January 2017, what's this doe weigh, Tim?
Weighs 100 pounds even.
I'm going to tell you, a yearling doe already at 100 pounds is pretty amazing. We'd like to see our does at least over 80 pounds, so when we saw that she is at 100 pounds, we were pretty excited about bringing her home already. Of course, while we were there, I asked him to tell me about the doe and her lineage, with the sire being on the top of the pedigree and the dam being on the bottom. This is what Tim had to say.
She's 100% New Zealand. She's out of our, one of our herd sires is Rez. He's a Hemi buck that goes back to Terminator lines on the top side. On the bottom side, he's got some Lover Boy back there and some Keeper. What we like about this buck and why we kept him in our program is he throws the black feet, which is something that we like. He throws a lot of length on his does, and his average daily gains are really doing well for us. He's got a real good top side on him, thick across the top. And this doe, she came out, she's got the black pigmented skin and the dark horns, which is, it's not no big deciding factor, but it is a plus to us. But she did real well for us. On her bottom side, she goes back to Legacy, which come from Gene Meadows. Yep, that's about it for the doe.
Well, Tim, it sounds like to me that she has the genetics to be an outstanding performer on our farm. So the next question I ask him, why did you guys get into goats and then specifically start raising Kikos?
I actually started on a motorcycle trip down into Texas. We were riding around looking at the hill country around Fredericksburg and around in that area, and just looking at the pretty countryside, and some of the farms were looked manicured and some of them were grown up, and we're noticing the manicured farms had a lot of goats in there. So we started to get into Spanish, and Tracey did some research and found out there's a little better money in the Kikos, and same traits. Their parasite resistance is good, their growth is a little better. So that's what got us into Kikos.
That's pretty amazing. A ride through the country started it all. Tracey, is there anything that you would like to add to that?
Another reason we got into the goats was that we were looking at our farm we live on, and it had been overgrazed with cattle during a 5-year drought. And it was only capable of carrying about 15 cows and their calves. And we figured that we would give the goats a try, and we'd read a lot on they help restore the natural grasses, and we've had them on here since 2013 and have noticed that we're having a lot of our grasses that were extinct coming back, and our pastures are improving, kind of a fertilize rejuvenation program, I guess.
So I'm a fairly small producer. I've only got a little over 60 Kikos right now. So then I ask, what size of herd did you start with? And then what traits do you look for, and what traits do you call for?
We started with 40 bred does, 20 doelings, and bought us a buck, and we just started breeding up from there. For the past 5 years, Tracey's been tracking data on the herd and changing out some bucks and culling for different things. We look real hard at our average daily gains and parasite resistance, and they seem to go hand in hand. But the one thing you have to get out of your herd is bad teats, so that's the easiest thing to call for, is get those bad teats out of there, unless you like bottle babies.
And those are things that I look for in my herd as well. I had to ask Tracey, tell us why you like the Kikos over some of the other meat breeds.
I really looked into the Spanish because of the hardiness, and they are, well known and native to the Texas, more Oklahoma area. But after doing some research, I kind of came to the conclusion that the Kikos actually are probably a little bit better milk producer. They seem to, from the charts I'd seen, the growth rates were better, and so we decided that we would go with the Kikos. We've had some boar crosses that have done okay for us, and we have actually in our herd the crossbred with the boar. And from what we've had no bad mothers with the crosses. We never have really ran a straight boar other than a buck, and we did get a nice buck. He had parasite resistance. He never read less than a 1. We have a lot of short grasses here, and we have a lot of moisture. So a lot of times our goats are truly eaten 3 inches off the ground and wet, dewy grass. Basically, we have found the Kikos to be very parasite resistant. The crosses that we have shown parasite resistance. It works well for our commercial herd to have that cross. It puts some good meat on them for the market, and they seem to grade a little better.
Cool deal. Thanks, Tracey. So Tim, some last words. What advice would you like to give my viewers about being a meat goat producer?
Yeah, if you start raising your expectations of your herd for your average daily gains and your parasite resistance, I think each year by year your quality will go up.
And folks, that's pretty sage advice. So whether you're a meat goat producer or any type of livestock that you're trying to raise and do the best for, I would take those words to heart. So after we got the little doe home, those of you that have goat herds know that you never want to add a single goat. Does can be pretty cranky, especially when they have kids. So what we did was, since the goat box was already on the back of the truck, we loaded up all the does that had never been introduced into the herd before, that was on the house side of the creek, put those in the back of the truck, and then took them all out to the pasture at the same time. Now, of course, we were expecting a little bit of head bumping, and of course that's going to go on, but nothing like we had anticipated. But as you can see today, although not completely integrated, this little girl's right there with the herd. Well, folks, again, hope you've enjoyed the interview with Tim and Tracey at Deep Creek Kikos at Fort Cobb, Oklahoma. And I'm going to put links to their website and their Facebook page in the description below. If you're interested in getting stock from a good performance-driven and data-collecting farm, Deep Creek Kikos is one of the farms that I would certainly recommend. You're going to get outstanding stock there. You're going to know that they've got the data to back up what they're selling you. So be sure to go check them out. And if by chance you do give them a call or you message them on Facebook or whatever, tell them that you heard about them from Stoney Creek. I certainly appreciate y'all. And I'll see you next video.